Hello and welcome to the Gaggle Challenge, and if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, it's a great honor, Johnny Apple, who's decided to grace us with his presence, and he's thought he'd bring Peter Lavelle along for laughs. So welcome, Apple. Any thoughts on anything today? But anyways, if you don't, I wanted to uh, bring up the phenomenon of Hungary. We talk a lot about Hungary here, and there's great pressure being applied against Hungary. So we've had um, Ukraine suddenly declaring that Luke is under sanction and can no longer transport its oil across Ukraine. And Lukoil comprised most of Hungary's oil imports through the Druzhba pipeline. So, no more Luke oil for
Everybody, druzhba means friendship.
friendship, exactly. So the refineries in Hungary just won't have any oil to refine. So Hungary, asked the EU to intervene and say, "Hey, this doesn't sound like it's in the spirit of the Ukraine EU association agreement." They're basically trying to coerce Hungary and Slovakia. Can they do that? And then the EU said, "Well, we're kind of got a little busy at the moment. We can't really deal with this problem." So maybe Hungary can try and get oil from somewhere else. Get oil through Croatia. But Hungary said, yeah, but Croatia charges up a huge markup if we use the pipelines through Croatia, and the pipelines are much worse, and they haven't been maintained, and they don't have the capability. And the EU again just says, well, we're just not we got other things on our plate. And so Hungary said, well, it sounds like this whole thing was cooked up by the EU. I mean, Ukraine is a supplicant of the EU. I mean, if you really needed to get Ukraine to allow oil to come to Hungary, you can do it. It's you hold all the cards. It's Ukraine that wants to join the EU, but you're not doing anything about it. So obviously, it's the EU that cooked up this plan to hurt Hungary, particularly as winter is approaching. And as if that was not enough, there are now moves afoot to try to kick Hungary out of the Schengen visa-free zone, because apparently Hungary is allowing Russians to get work permits and work in Hungary. And so I'll just show you this story. And here we have, it appeared in Politico, naturally. And it says here, Hungary's easing of immigration rules for Russians raises espionage fears. Fallout from a policy that grants Russians and Belarusians fast-track access to the European Union could threaten Hungary's Schengen membership. So that's a nice.
So what kind of work visas are they?
Well, that's a good question.
Are they necessary? Are these just people?
I find it very amusing. Remember, Hungary has been bashed over the head for its very tight immigration policy. That how dare they not allow migrants into the country? Now they're being bashed for being a little loose with the issuance of work permits. Hungary's decision to expand its lax national card. It's a
This is
lax.
supposed to be a news story, right?
Exactly, news story. Lax national card immigration programs to include Russians and Belarusians has drawn condemnation from the European People's Party and the response from the European Commission. European People's Party is that kind of centrist, kind of vaguely center-right, center-left party in the.
Well, that's Queen Ursula's gig.
Yes, exactly. That's Ursula's gig. Yeah. In a letter to Council President Charles Michel,
When are we going to
EPP.
hear the end of this guy? I thought he was going to resign.
I thought he was as well. It's always just macabre that he's still around. Um, EPP party head Manfred Weber was always around to bash Hungary for some reason or other, said the scheme raises serious national security concerns and creates grave loopholes for espionage activities.
We have serious and we have grave. Okay.
A commission spokesperson said Brussels will be in touch with Hungary to, quote, clarify the scope of the scheme and whether or not it falls under the remit of the EU rules.
That's harkening back to the old days. You know, the Soviet Politburo will get in touch with the Hungarians.
That's right. Yes.
This is kosher or not, okay?
Yes.
The Politburo is convening, okay? You know, Brussels will be in touch with you.
Yes, sir. Earlier this month, Hungary published details of a new fast-track visa system for citizens of 8 countries, including Russia and Belarus, to enter Hungary. Previously, the cards were only available to Ukrainian and Serbian citizens. So there was no problem all that time when they were available to Ukrainians and Serbians, and suddenly it's become a problem because the Russians may get this visas. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has already raised hackles in fellow EU countries with his freelance efforts to broker a peace deal to end the war in Ukraine.
As if that's a bad thing.
That's exactly that. Yeah, what a disgusting thing to do. He is seen as the bloc's most pro-Kremlin leader. And then he goes,
he's the bloc's only politician that gives a hoot about his own people.
That's exactly, and that's the point. That was his agenda has always been about, well, you know, Hungarians, or you know, and what helps Hungarians. Budapest's national card allows its holders to work in Hungary for up to 2 years. The scheme is simpler than obtaining a regular work permit or a business visa, and also enables family reunification. After 3 years, national card holders qualify for permanent residency. Crucially, in bypassing the restrictions required by EU law, it makes it easier for card holders to access broader Schengen area, Weber claims in his letter. So and then it goes on, the lack of a clear need for such a broad and unregulated entry mechanism for Russian and Belarusian workers poses questions over the consequences for Hungary and the wider Schengen area. Weber also called on EU leaders to adopt the most stringent methods to immediately protect the integrity of Schengen while preventing member states from taking similar initiatives. So once these have to be very strong. And so here's the Hungarian spokesman, Zoltan Kovacs, and he says, in response to Manfred Weber's lies, this action is nothing but another hypocritical attack on Hungary by the pro-war liberal European elite. Yet again, it is Manfred Weber who is attacking the Hungarian government, all the while his government and his political allies have poured millions of illegal migrants into Europe, exposing the continent states and the people of Europe to a grave threat to national and public security. Interestingly, at that time, neither Mr. Weber nor the leftist liberal elite showed concern for the security of Europe or the people of Europe. That's kind of a salient point. I mean, you're getting so het up and so indignant, so outraged about these Russians and Belarusians and the threat that they pose to Europe, and then but you didn't say boo over the millions of migrants that you were letting in.
What's the scale here, George?
I can't believe it's very high.
I have a hard time believing it's high too.
Yeah, I find it very hard. I mean, I just, you know, I don't know the scale, but it has to be pretty limited.
Well, the reason why I asked is that, you know, because we started out with the energy sector in like refining or something like that. I mean, are these specialized workers that, you know, would be welcomed on a limited short-term basis? That's why I asked, because
right.
I mean, You
I'm
know,
assuming they have to be specialized.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair assumption too.
That's right.
Why would there be that kind of cutout? I just don't
Right.
understand.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Kovacs goes on. This latest attack from Brussels is absurd and hypocritical because it is precisely the Brussels institutions and the EPP in alliance with the liberal forces that are doing everything in their power to ensure Hungary is forced to dismantle its strict border protections and asylum system, allowing hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants into the country. And then he goes on, the Hungarian immigration regime is the strictest in the European Union. Guest workers are only allowed entry under a regulated framework, which includes a national security check, and they can stay for a limited period solely for employment purposes. Hungary will continue to protect its southern border and maintain the strictest immigration on the continent. But again, it goes back to what you were saying, which is this is very limited. I mean, you only get one of these visas if you've got a job. I mean, you don't just come in the way with these migrants, they just let you in because you're an asylum seeker or whatever. I mean, you actually have to have a job waiting for you before you're issued a visa. And then this woman, this is I think she's the Home Affairs Minister of the EU. She got in on the act, Eva Johansson. And she said, Russia is a security threat. We need more, not less vigilance. Giving potential Russian spies and saboteurs easy EU access would undermine the security of us all. We are all under threat from these Russians and Belarusians. It's so ridiculous. I mean, this idea that there's these Russians going around threatening Eva Johansson and her friends. Today, in a letter, I asked the Hungarian government to explain. If their easy access scheme is a risk, we will act.
We have the tools.
They have the tools. And then she goes. It's a little hard to read. Russia's unprovoked and unjustified war of aggression in Ukraine has had widespread implications, including major security risks for the Union and its citizens. So apparently, the fact that we're fueling this war, pouring in arms without any real oversight, that isn't a threat to the Union security. But I don't know, a handful of Russians coming in on a work visa.
And American arms that are sent to Ukraine are found all over the world now.
Exactly. And then there are increasing reports of sabotage and attacks on our critical infrastructure and other hostile acts. Not Nord Stream. There are no reports about that. But our critical infrastructure. In view of the gravity of the situation and the wider geopolitical situation, the Union has employed every available instrument to ensure the safety of the Schengen area. And then it goes on.
Which is kind of convenient because they always are aiming to increase their control.
That's right.
This is what they always do. Whatever reason it is, we need more control.
Against this background, I share the concerns expressed in the past few days about the extension of the national card scheme to citizens of Russia and Belarus. I think that's kind of discriminatory. I'm not sure it's wholly appropriate for the European Union to make these kinds of discriminations. Everyone can come in except citizens of Russia and Belarus. I'm pretty sure that's violation of the EU.
I think it's getting to the core of European values here.
That's right. And then while the member states have the competence of issuing long stay visas and residence permits, such schemes need to be carefully balanced, not to put at risk the integrity of our common area without internal border controls and to duly consider potential security implications.
But you can get get in a boat in Libya and land
and head straight
on an
for, yeah,
Italian beach, okay?
exactly.
And they've been cracking down on illegal immigration in the UK, except for the numbers keep going up, not
The
going down.
landscape, exactly, and you know nothing
But they,
about
but the
any.
Russians, the Belarusians, they have a visa that is issued to them because they have a designated place of work. Okay,
They're
they're
designated,
more of a threat than somebody in a dinghy coming from Libya. Okay, go
that's
ahead.
right. And again, the people from Russia and Belarus, they will arrive with identity papers and everything. So in other words, we'll know who they are, where they came from, what they did before. The people arriving on these boats, they all come and say, well, I don't have any papers. I threw them away. I lost them. I don't have, so you know nothing about the people who are arriving. We must stand united in our determination to cripple Russia's war machine. She was, put the Russia. She wanted to say cripple Russia. I mean, Russia's war machine. Yeah. What's the plan? How are they planning on crippling the Russia's war machine? Okay, all right. In the interest of our citizens who rightly demand a common area of freedom and security. This includes ensuring that Russian nationals who could pose espionage or other security threats face the highest level of scrutiny. A well-functioning Schengen area is a matter of common concern and is of paramount importance to take into account the security and migratory considerations of other Schengen states. So the absolute outrageous hypocrisy of this is just breathtaking. She's the home affairs nonsense of the EU, and so this is the threat now facing Hungary. We're going to kick you out of the Schengen area. I mean, the ludicrousness. I mean, it was Hungary that really blazed the trail of saying people are not coming in. I mean, this precisely because we do not want to put migrants into the Schengen area so that they can just simply move throughout Europe. It was the Hungarians who put up barbed wire on their borders and and got punished by the EU for doing so. How dare you secure your own borders? And so now they think, hey, this is very cute. It's Hungary that is jeopardizing the Schengen area. What a clever idea! God.
Yeah, we previously talked about the prisoner exchange. So you had a Chechen warlord of Georgian descent given us a form of asylum in Germany. Okay. Yep. These people, they talk about values all the time. I just can't figure out what is valuable about that. I mean, the uncontrolled immigration into Europe, that's your security risk, okay? And
Right.
not registered Russians and Belarusians, which presumably, again, nobody talks about it. Maybe it's on purpose, but I tend to think these are high-tech jobs and with people
Yeah,
highly
yeah.
skilled, okay?
Yeah.
You got to be worried about them, okay?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Maybe something in finance. I don't know. I mean, it's yeah. But there can't be many of them. I mean, that's the point. I mean, there aren't that many high-tech jobs, on offer in Hungary. So they created this issue out of absolutely nothing. And so what? And they're going to come in. Some computer nerd is going to go around causing terrorism.
Well, I mean, that's probably you probably figured it out because that and it's hotly discussed here in Russia is that the European countries give nice packages like free housing, a nice salary because they're picking away at the IT
Right.
community here.
Right.
I mean, I've known a number of guys and young women that ended up in Switzerland, in Austria,
Right.
I think even in Hungary. Okay,
Right.
because the IT sector, I mean, it's really, really top notch here. Okay, and they can get these people, which of course they paid in Europe, they'll pay less to their own citizens,
Right.
but still considered a very good salary for a lot of because there's so many IT people here. It
Right.
drives wages down because
Right.
there's so many of them.
Right. No, that's right. But of course, the reason for this is that they think that this is really cute. oh, Hungary is jeopardizing our security because of its lax migration policy. Oh, that you think some genius came up with that idea. It's like you remember when there was the whole negotiations in the Senate over the immigration, over Biden's immigration bill, and the Republicans were against it, and Trump was against it. Trump is for lax border. Trump is against border control. Hey, that's a let's use that in the election. That'll be a good slogan. Trump wants uncontrolled immigration across the border. So here, yeah, we need to kick Hungary out of Schengen because it's really jeopardizing our security.
The country that has the least amount of immigrants. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's right. So here, so we've got Hungary, getting kicked from, no oil for you, and then it says no Schengen for you. So I think, as you were saying before we started, this is all part of a regime change operation, because these are the kinds of things that do hurt Hungarians, because of course, Hungarians are going to have to pay a lot more for their heating bills this winter. And Schengen is that hurts Hungarians. Hungarians like to travel. They've always liked to travel. And in the fact that if they get kicked out of the Schengen zone, they are going to be very unhappy. And the idea is, well, hey, they're going to turn their hatred against Orban.
It doesn't work that way.
No, I don't think so either.
Okay.
It never
Well,
has.
this is just this brazen attempt just to make a small country of equals in the European
Right.
Union, apparently, have them subdued. Okay. Wow. Is that what the European Union is supposed to be about? It's about coercion? Is that what it's about?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
All because of Ukraine.
Exactly. And it is all about Ukraine. I mean,
Right.
all of this
Yeah, because in January of 2022, no one in Europe talked about, their security vis-a-vis Ukraine. It just was not a conversation.
right. Yeah, it's all about Ukraine. The absolute rage about Orban is done. I remember Orban has never said, "I'm acting on behalf of the EU." It's just saying, I'm trying to act as a peacemaker,
And he's
as
never said
as someone who's trusted by both sides.
He's also never said that he's acting on behalf of Russia. He's never
No,
said that.
no, absolutely no. It's Ursula von der Leyen who keeps saying that she's, somehow acting on behalf of the EU. She's not acting on behalf of, I mean, if she's not acting on behalf of member states such as Hungary and Slovakia, then she's not acting on behalf of the EU. I mean, that's by definition. I mean, you can't say, "Well, I'm speaking on behalf of, the EU." Well, no, you're not. You're speaking on your own behalf because there are EU member states who don't agree with your policy.
That's such an excellent point. How can she be talking on behalf of the EU if she's talking against a member of
Exactly,
the EU?
you can't.
You can't do that. Okay, but in her world, you can. Okay,
Yeah,
she's above it all. Okay, I mean, the way she is talked about in her position is way out of whack to the way it was designed.
Yeah.
Okay, she was basically supposed to be a glorified general secretary, a paper pusher.
That's right.
That's all it was designed to be.
That's right.
Not a separate political force.
Yeah. Exactly. You're glorified. Exactly. You're in charge of the bureaucracy. That's the point. You're in charge of the bureaucracy, but above you are the politicians. That's always been the way, in a democracy. Yeah, you have the civil service, but they are answerable to elected representatives. And in this case, it would be the national governments, because the national governments have to face electors. She doesn't. And so therefore the national governments have to be above her. But it's somehow been completely reversed, that somehow the national governments have to be answerable to her. She has a right to dictate things to elected leaders. That's wholly not the way it's supposed to work.
Slow motion regime change, and they're not going to give up. And even if This is this, you know, the term, the salami tactics. Remember that? The communization of Eastern Europe after the Second World War, they had the, I don't know who came up with it, but salami
I
tactic.
think it was Rakosi.
You think so?
I
Okay.
think it was Rakosi.
And yeah, you're right, it was. And this is what they're doing. What do we mean by that term? Is that, you know, you slowly, you know, you can let the local nationalists have the agricultural ministry, okay, and you know, or maybe the labor industry sector, but slowly you take that away, then you take the other one, and then finally it's been completely communized. This is what they're trying to do in Hungary. The salami tactics.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. I remember when what's her name? Samantha Power, when she came to Budapest, like I was maybe a year ago, and she started writing out the checks. I mean, to be honest, I don't think Hungary should have just allowed her into the country at all. I mean, I mean, she's not acting in good faith. She's obviously there to affect regime change. So issuing a check, here's 2 million. Is that all right? Oh, thank you very much, ma'am. You know, that'll do nicely. I mean, it's like she's there with the sole intention of overthrowing a government. I just don't think she should be allowed
And
in.
to be proud of it.
Yeah.
Be proud of it.
But I mean, I think the Hungarians are getting better at this, because now this meeting with Annalena Baerbock, that never took place. Remember, she was going to come to Budapest, I think it was about a month ago, to berate the Hungarian government for its Ukraine policy, and basically her trip was cancelled. So I think that's good. That's why you just basically you cancel the trip. I mean, what do you want to sit there and listen to ridiculous lectures?
Yeah, actually, I wonder, would they use translators or would they just speak English?
I would imagine they would speak English, because the Hungarian foreign minister Szijjártó, his English is very good. Orban's English is very good. So I think they'd speak in English.
I could just see Orban as like a stone Buddha just sitting there staring at him. Are you done? Are you done? Okay. I'll be insane. Bye. I don't think he'd say anything. He'd just sit there and kind of stare at her.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, who the hell is she? I mean, just a German foreign minister who may not be there that long. Well, one can hope, but yeah, I wouldn't put any money on that. But yeah, just, so yeah.
Who does listen to her?
I don't know. I mean, she made clear that she's not going to listen to the German people. My only concern is Ukraine. It is not the German people.
We're at war with Russia, not among ourselves. We're not at war among ourselves.
That's right. We are at war with Russia. I didn't say that. That's fake news. There it is. I mean, you said it.
Well, I would like to end this here. Completely different subject, but it's noteworthy. George and I have talked about it ever since the advent of the new Kamala, which I call her word salad Karen now. Just when you think they've polished up this gem, she comes out with more word salad, and it was absolutely hilarious. Okay, I don't know if you saw it, George, and I'm very hesitant, because you know how Twitter can be, but somebody claims, okay, that Biden had gotten off a plane because they were going to meet the prisoners, right? And they're waiting on the tarmac, and Biden decided for some reason to go back into the airplane. And everybody's looking at him. He's just walking up the stairs like, where are you going? You just got off that airplane. Everybody, it could be completely fake. Somebody could have done this and said, I don't know. But it was actually hysterical to watch if it were true. Okay.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying if it were true. Okay. But just the way and then you think, they passed the baton to the younger version of Joe Biden, and then she just can't coherently say anything. It was just like, what are you talking about?
The gibberish. Yeah. And I always find it hilarious, this business of how young she is. She's so young. She's going to be 60 in a couple of months. I mean, that's not old, you know, heaven forbid I should think that's old, but stop calling her young. I mean, they think this is some young. We've passed the torch on to a new generation. What new generation? She's older than, I think, Kennedy, Nixon, Johnson, Carter, you know, Clinton, Obama were when they became president. So what's the new? Where's the new
Look at,
generation?
you want to talk about passing the torch, J.D. Vance. No, that's a generational
Right,
shift.
that's a generational, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Not by design. I mean it. We're not by design, but we are chronicling the forced regime change in Hungary. George and I are doing it single-handedly. Okay, no help. Okay, not much support, by the way. But you know, this is going to turn into a master class. Okay, because you're going to be able to see every single step. George has forensically dissected it here.
Yep.
All righty, that's our Sunday wrap here, everyone. Just again, viewer discretion. I'm going on vacation starting on Tuesday. I'll be in country. I don't think there'll be an interruption to what George and I do on a weekly basis. Tomorrow, before I leave, is Monday. We do our live stream, and then George will be flying solo again on Tuesday.
Exactly. So tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time, we're going to do our joint live stream. And then on Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, I do my solo live stream. And though the hounds are not going to be there, you know, I have to face them on Wednesday, and they give me a right, you know, right talking to. That's if they, you know, before they go straight for my throat. So it's very hard to deal with them. So, you know, if you want me to have an easier life, just put a few bob into their tip jar. That might just, you know, ease things up a little bit. We're very grateful for all of your help, friendship, and support. The more you're able to donate, the more of these videos we can make, the more we can improve on the technology. And we might sort of get them to be, you know, slightly less murderous mood. So remember, if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.